We're going to get started here shortly. So
prepare yourself for this. The next CDLP training is a Friday training. And I don't think we've even had one of those since we've been doing them live like this. I mean, on the Zoom. I'm not sure, but I'll be training with Alan Roman on June 17th, Friday, June 17th. So anybody else that's looking, if you're looking to take the next CDLP, just know it's not going to be on a Saturday. It's going to be on a Friday, June 17th. So you guys will see some stuff posted about it here coming up here shortly. But yeah. Yep.
That's good stuff, because there's some people, they, religion and things like that, hadn't been able to take the course because it's always on a Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's good. Corporate catered to that. That's awesome.
I reached out to corporate last week, and because I have 4 people that are for religious reasons, they're unable to take the course on a Saturday. And so Alan hit me back and said that he'll look for it for the next coming month. So thank you for that, Rob.
Well, kudos to Sharon.
Yeah.
Kudos, Sharon.
Good stuff. So we are set up for Friday, June 17th. So anybody, you got some 7-day Adventists, some other people, religious people who can't do that Saturday? Just think about the people on your team who keep saying, I don't go to Super Saturday because it's no Saturday. So you take the CDLP on Friday.
Right.
Give them the ones, right? All right, guys. So we're going to start with our introductions, and we're going to be taking some questions because it was a CDLP training this past Saturday. Take some questions, even if you weren't in that training, and you still have questions about some things. And let's keep it CDLP, guys. Because I know sometimes we open up, y'all start talking about some other stuff. So let's keep it CDLP. Of course, group. We can talk about group because we know we talk about opening up groups in CDLP. So all of that kind of stuff we want to discuss to make sure we can help people. And let's be patient for the people who are new on here who may have a real laid back, simple question that you might be thinking, what, you don't know that yet? Right? So if that happens, then just tell yourself that's how far advanced you are. That it seems like that question is simple. So it might be a few simple questions here. So if you feel like you have a question already, you have a question, do us a favor and put your hand up, not your physical hand on camera, but your hand up inside the participant. So we will have a list to call from as it comes to questions on CDL. So if you're going to have any questions, just go ahead and do that, and we'll make sure that we call on you. We are live on YouTube, so hello, YouTubers. We appreciate you guys for chiming in as well. And if you have any questions on YouTube, you guys can just type your question in the YouTube chat, and then I will pull a question over here or ask it over here, and one of us can help get that question answered here on that side too. So let's go ahead and get started with introductions and get started with Sharanda Ivy first.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CDLP coaching call for Monday. And so my name is Sharanda Ivy here in Byron, Georgia, about an hour and a half south of Atlanta. 50K ring earner, Emory Elite, #1 field trainer for the company for 2021 and 2019. We've earned that Production Achievement Award. So we're knocking on 2,000 now. So I'll be looking to get that next year. And like I said, we're Emerald Elite Associates. Last year recognized #2 group opener in the company, and one of the top solutions trainers in the company in the top 10. I was #8, I think. But been with Legal Shield for 9 years, and a few years ago, just chose my major and my minor and focused my efforts here with CDLP. Had trainers like Dunbar and Lamar who was really focused on the space, and they really helped me to hone in on my skills. And so I went from GWC, which is go walk your community for the new people on the call. I used to just knock on doors. That I thought that was my strength. But when COVID hit, I pivoted. And so for the last 2.5 years, I've been making dials. And so with that, my business really, I don't know, it doubled, tripled in the last 2.5 years from making dials. So earned my 50K ring by making dials. One of the top small biz producers as well. And I learned in this space how to cross sell. Just learned a lot about the industry and learned what the trucking companies and drivers were dealing with. And so I leveraged that because this was my niche market. And so I focused all my efforts on that. And so I have a diverse book of business. We have over 100 groups, and that range for all types of industries. But I get up every day, like Lamar would say, and I'm looking for carriers and trucking companies to offer our products to. And so I advise you, if you haven't really found your niche, just look at what you like to do. And if it's this space, definitely become a student of the industry because it will help you outside with prospecting in this space. So remember, it's just a niche market. These individuals are still, have families and things like that. So we definitely can cross sell. And you might not be the one to do that immediately on the first sale, but you always have a prospect you can go back to. So just keep that in mind. You can build your book of business here with these commercial drivers and trucking companies. So with that, we welcome you. I do host the accountability call on Thursday nights for those individuals who are focused and have activity in the space. I really do try to educate on Thursday nights, share some information to help individuals go out and do some, real prospecting. So with that, Dunbar, I'll pass it over to you.
All right, fantastic. So Robert Dunbar here, been with Legal Shield for 13 years. I've lost track of my training, so I can't tell you how long I've been training. I'm a trainer, so I train as much as I can. I help as much as I can. I'm a 100K ring earner, got 250K ring earners on my team. And I've worked every aspect of Legal Shield. So I have done it. Well, not ladies of justice. That's the only thing I haven't done. So no ladies of justice experience, but I do have insurance program experience, CDL, group, small business, team building. I started out by team building. So my business has altered over the years. I've done different things in Legal Shield. I started by doing network marketing. And then when I realized I didn't want to continue building in that aspect, luckily I was a part of a network marketing company that offered other areas to be able to build. And so I was able to stay with Legal Shield and still, do a lot of group things and insurance agents and work in that space. So because it's a hybrid network marketing company, I've been able to do a lot of things. We landed in CDLP because in the beginning for me, I ended up getting some CDL groups by mistake. And then I ended up working with 2 ring earners who had big CDL groups in Jacksonville, Florida, where I live at. And I ended up working with them, jumping on that, helping those individuals. And when I did that, I realized that I didn't know as much about CDL as I should. I couldn't sell the CDL plan like I could sell a family plan. And when I started asking questions, corporate didn't have a lot of answers because they didn't have a lot of experienced employees who understood that program. Because there were only a few trainers, it was hard to get a hold of one because they were so busy running their business and doing training for corporate. And there was only a few of them. I just couldn't get the answers I wanted. So when I went to my leadership and said, hey, what can we do about this? He said, if you want to see a change, you got to make it yourself. So that's how I got involved in CDLP on the training side. And from that point, I just kind of fell in love with being able to offer the product. I do like the logistics industry. And it's been that's like a world of fun for me. And it's a niche market. And as a marketer and salesperson in general, I love niche marketing. I love marketing to a specific season, a specific kind of person. So that's been really good for me to be able to do that. So that's what made me really like doing that. So we didn't have any of this stuff in place at first. So years ago, it was like you went to a CDLP training, you got on a CDLP training that corporate did, or every third Friday we had a platform where Legal Shield had, sometimes the law firm would be on there, sometimes the top producers in CDL would be on there, or group producers would be on there, and they would come to that platform and they would train on CDL, and that happened every third Friday of the month. And we just felt like, with a market this niche, it needs to be a weekly training that people can attend. There needs to be a Facebook page where questions could get answered, because you could put a question on a Legal Shield page on CDL and it would be crickets, because nobody would answer that question because they didn't know, or they would pass you to this person and tag people and nobody would really have an answer. So we said, hey, we need to have a CDL page. We need to have a weekly call. And that started working really well. And then Sharanda Ivy decided, hey, let's do a accountability call for people that are a little bit more serious than just, I want to tune in. And then she started that accountability call. So, and in my opinion, I think it works really well. I think people can come get what they want from the accountability, from this call on Mondays, from the Facebook page. And I think it's really helped people in a supportive way so that they can really move out and get some things set up for them in business. So if we have any questions, and if any of our YouTube live people have any questions, type it in the comment section on YouTube, and we'll get the question answered. You'll be able to hear us over here on the Zoom. If you have any questions in this audience, just put your hand up and we'll call on you. You can unmute yourself and we'll answer your question. We want to keep it CDL. So does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, raise your hand. And if y'all don't have any questions, then we will, I promise you, me and Sharanda will find something to talk about. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about it. And y'all know I keep records, so I it's 49 people in here, and if I get an email from any one of y'all in the next 7 days asking me a question when you was on here and didn't ask a question, I'm gonna email you back and say raise your hand. I'm gonna say raise your hand next Monday.
We got Eileen Taylor.
Yeah, we're gonna get Eileen Taylor. Oh, she's
Hi, Sharanda and Robert. Good to join you all tonight. Louisiana Motor Transport Association, along with Louisiana State Police, and that's the state where I live, is Louisiana, is having a commercial drivers complimentary safety seminar, if that's about the best way to put it. And that's going to be on Thursday, June 2nd. Everybody is going to meet at Cracker Barrel in Hammond and then go just outside of Hammond to the way station and do the inspections. Now, I've already talked to Lamar Reynolds, and he said, yes, he would recommend that I go, and it would be a good opportunity to share information. Now, my question is, what kinds of things, based on the experience you have, should I take with me in addition to getting a couple of cases of water and icing them down and giving them the printout of the summary of the will workshop, which explains the reason why people should have our membership, as well as, is there a flat sheet for the CDL and also do the regular 1-minute survey and the CDL 1-minute survey? Am I missing anything, or would you recommend that I do anything else?
I think you're gonna get. I think you're gonna get a bunch of answers on this. So one, I would say, as far as the will workshop stuff, and of course the other trainers are gonna speak to this. So, right. So it's not about a right or wrong answer. It's about trying to do things differently. In my opinion, will workshop wouldn't have anything to do with you showing up to a place like that. that should be strictly about the CDL plan. That's in my opinion. If you're going to go to an event like that, you should be talking about the CDL membership and how it protects the companies. I wouldn't use that as an opportunity to particularly sell, like go there selling them, but more informing them and building a relationship, finding out who the contact is at these specific companies so that you could visit them, maybe giving them some material, some things like that. I would definitely stay away. I wouldn't, again, this is me. Family plan stuff, I talk about the family plan. I think it's important for them to have, but that probably wouldn't be my approach at a CDL event, the family plan. That's just how I would approach it. Now, Sharanda, what's your take on that? Because your experience is you do things differently than me, and you definitely more heavily in the logistics space than I am.
I'm with you on that. And then too, this depends on the setup. Like you said, it's a CDL event, so focus on CDL. I would say my biggest thing is to gather contact information. The 1 minute survey for the CDL is all I would probably use. I would have flat sheets of the CDL. You can have the interactive flyer there. It shows the family and the CDL plan. But my main focus would be somehow to generate leads from that, meaning, getting names of the drivers or the people in the room or whoever's in the room. I would be really trying to get that is more of what I'll be focused on, is trying to generate contact names. Because at those, depending on the event, people may be walking around, people may not be. You might not have a whole lot of time. So you have to be creative on how you're gonna, get some names and contact information. And definitely, if you could take somebody with you, because it's hard to work an event by yourself. And you need to go in there with an agenda of meaning, what are you really there for? So just think about those things. And like Dunbar said, it's not about selling there. It's about gathering information, maybe, having some either flat sheets or some brochures to give out, so people can contact you, but definitely make sure you have some way of getting their contact information is what I would suggest, but definitely not talking about wheels and stuff. That is not what you should be leading with at that type of event. So that's my take on that. So I unmuted you back. We muted you because you had some background noise. So I unmuted you again.
Okay. Now this is what was coming to my mind. If there's a commercial driver out there who has a family and does not have a will and does not have an advance directive, he's in a bad vehicular accident and is either seriously injured or killed, then
remember this event isn't a selling. When you go to events like this, it's not about selling. But like I said, the best tool you can use with that, Ms. Taylor, I would think is the flat sheet with the legal and the CDL on it. Now,
okay, hold on, Sharanda, one quick minute before you continue. Is that flat sheet in Prospect by Legal Shield, or is it somewhere else?
Well, it's in LS Engage, and it should be in your Prospect by Legal Shield. And,
okay.
And again, I would advise you to take maybe somebody who focus a little bit more on CDL, so they can assist you with this. Because I think your focus is, you have the right idea. Those things are great, what you're saying, but this is a CDL transportation type event. And when you go to events like this, you want to have something to give your information out. So make sure your flyer has your name and contact information. But the main thing is you're trying to generate leads. You're trying to get names and numbers of the people that's in the room. Because at those events, people are running by you, past you, and stuff like that. And before you look up, you ain't gonna have no names, and you're just gonna be in the room all day, maybe talk to a couple of people, and then you're gonna look and think, was it all worth it? So just make sure. I would take, if it's a big event, take a couple of people. But if you have somebody in your area that you know maybe do a little CDL, or maybe they know a little bit about it, or just take a partner with you, maybe two, and you guys come up with a game plan of what you want to do. But selling is not what you need to be thinking about in that situation, is my opinion.
Okay. I do have a partner lined up. The only situation of which I'm concerned is whether this is going to be on the eastbound side only, westbound side only, or is it going to be divided between both sides?
Okay, well, all that is things you and your partner should do prior to going to the event. So, so good stuff. So, I hope you get some good leads from that, and go from there and just learn from the experience. I would say as well, so you'll be prepared for the next time they come to town.
All right. Thank you all so kindly. I appreciate your
You're welcome.
expertise on this.
Thank you. All righty. Allison, where? Can you unmute? Yeah.
Okay. I just want to share a little bit because I participated in a vendors event, and what I did to try to capture people's phone numbers and emails is I had a sheet out there for them to sign. But what I did is I put together I put together a basket, and it was like more like, people was trying to get the basket. And the things that I put in the basket was stuff for like safety, safety and cleaning. And that's it. And, I did pretty good at capturing people's information.
Good stuff. That's awesome. So you had a plan. So that's good to get some leads. So
Yeah.
You had a giveaway. Yeah, people like giveaways. Good stuff. So hopefully Miss Taylor was taking notes on that so she can implement that as well. Dunbar, there was a question in the chat. Somebody wanted to know, how can a driver find out if a company has put any bad comments in their record? That's not how that works. That question normally goes, it's normally when a broker puts a bad word on a company, and that's carrier 411 when they write a bad report on a company. They don't necessarily do it on the driver unless the driver owns the company. So so that's a freight guard. That's what it's called, a freight guard. But it normally goes to the company, not the driver. I hope that helps, Norman.
All right. So I wanted to mention something about because I used to do a lot of vending events, and I've talked about them for years, and this is for everybody. I mean, Eileen asked a question, but that was a really good question, because vending is a very big part of doing group benefits and stuff. And we've got to know when to sell and when not to sell. And when you're doing a vending event, some of you guys follow me on other platforms. Y'all know how I am, 80% education, 20% sales. The sale is easier when people are comfortable with who you are. And when you go to a niche place to do a niche thing, if you stay within that niche, you'll always get more contacts. I'm 100% behind Sharanda's comment that vending events are meant to collect information, right? Contact information, like people's emails, their contact information, that is what you want. You can sell at the time, like once you got the information, now you create your sales experience for that person, whether it's email, phone call, whatever your process is. When you go to an event like that, what will happen is if I stop and talk and try to sell for 15 minutes to somebody, how many people's contact information did I not get because I was so busy trying to sell Allison something at the event, that Daryl went by me, Ebony went by me, right? Tracy went by me, Sharanda went by me, Sharon went by me. Why? Because I'm trying to sell Allison something, and then after I finish, Allison didn't buy anyway. And now I missed all these opportunities. The two people in that audience, I could have gotten their contact information and sold them via email or a phone call that following week. You only get one chance in front of these people. Get their information. Now you got the info, go to your office and figure out how you're gonna sell to them. That's what you're supposed to be doing at a vending event, giving people things away, giving away the water, getting people to your table, getting their information. Figure out a way to collect their email information and find out who you should contact at the company. That's what I want to know. Who's the contact and what's their email? Because talking to the driver, guys, they ain't making no decision no way. They can't make the decision on whether you can talk to the other drivers. So you spending your time talking to them is not going to help us so much. Does that make sense? So I just want you guys to say, don't chase the money and miss the opportunity to close the bigger deal. By bigger deal, we're not talking about 50, 60, and 100 trucks. We're talking about still small, 30 trucks less, those smaller trucking companies. But talking to those drivers, guys, they're not making the decision. If I'm talking to Sharanda, she's a driver, I'm like, hey, Miss Sharanda, so is your whole company here? So is your safety manager here? What you got? I'm trying to find out who the decision maker is. That's who I want so that I can offer them what we offer and try to get in front of all those drivers. Right? I might ask Sharanda her name so I can name drop when I get to the safety manager. And Barbara, the safety manager, I'm gonna say, hey, Barbara, my name is Robert Dunbar. I'm on Oceanside Benefits. I spoke to Sharanda a few minutes ago. She let me know that you're the most important company. Is that true? And Barbara's like, I don't know about the most important person in the company, but I might be the most important one at this event right here, right? And then I'm going from there, right? Just messing with the person, just sparking that conversation. But I'm not doing no selling. And I used to talk about that when we used to do vending events in regular group. There's nothing worse than being at some event and seeing somebody at the end of their table doing a paper application on somebody, trying to sign them up for a service when you got a vending booth and all this stuff going on, and you try to enroll people in programs. You just look hungry. You look hungry, and people can smell those commissions on your breath.
And can I jump in too?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, like you said, Dunbar, I don't know how often this event comes to the area, but sometimes you might need to go as a guest versus a vendor, because you can make more traction working the room as a guest, somebody in the room, so it just depends. I built my business off, vending and things like that in the beginning. And that's one thing I learned. I stopped being so quick to be a vendor and start to just go to the event so I could network with the people in the room and get more contacts that way versus trying to lure them to my table. So just a thought, but yeah, vending is not about selling. It really isn't. And if you go there with that mindset, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. So that's my thought on that, because it's just, it gets too busy. It gets people, you get hung up on one person, like Dunbar said, and people that passed you by. So just think about that, Ms. Taylor, with you and your, who goes with you as well. Good stuff.
All right, Sharon, I'll unmute you.
Yes.
Oh, no, you unmuted. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm in the B2B space, Ms. Taylor, where I do benefits fairs. And just like Sharanda just said, it's all about getting leads, because I'm the one to bring the Legal Shield bag, because it's an adult trick-or-treating event where they'll walk around and pick up this pen, pick up this cup, pick up this mug. But guess what? I want them to walk around with my Legal Shield bag so everybody can see that Legal Shield is in the building. But I don't write not one application. And these are the two top trainers in the commercial driver space. I'm one of the field trainers. thank you for reaching out to Lamar, but you definitely need to reach out to a field trainer to educate you a little bit more about a benefits fair, a vendor fair, or even something of that large of a magnitude. Because you'll just get ate up with being exhausted, trying to go through all that stuff. You'll stop working your normal Legal Shield business, trying to figure out who signed this and who did that and what person told me this and what. It's a lot of exhausting work where you're down for the next 3 days just trying to recoup. So it's just highly recommended, as we're saying, just go and collect leads, or don't even get a vendor table. You can bring it and drop off the water just as to save face that Legal Shield was there. But we have too many Legal Shield associates where we don't want you to muddy the waters on the commercial driver space just trying to make a sale. With all due respect, just go and make nice and collect the business cards of the companies that are there. Find out who is their decision maker, as Mr. Dunbar just shared. That way you can get one company at a time and get a larger group versus one individual truck driver at a time, which may or may not, because they're not thinking about, quote unquote, passing away for a last will and testament, the way your one-on-ones, where we do the legal plan. If that's, I'm hopefully that's understandable. We just don't want you out there being milli-vanilli in something for that large that can come to other cities and states. And they say, oh God, that Legal Shield people, y'all stay away from them. Now, we just trying to watch out for you and your name in that city and state. Fair enough? All right, I turn the call back over to you, Mr. Dunbar.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. So it seems like we got some really good answers on that topic. So hopefully anybody that's doing vending events and doing things of that nature. Sharon just mentioned the trick that I've been doing this trick in volunteer benefits for years, which is I always get the big Legal Shield bags. And I used to walk around, and when they will go over to the tables and collect everything, I'll walk up to them and say, hey, Sharon, let me go and get all this stuff put in one bag so you're not carrying all this stuff. And my big bag will be the Legal Shield bag. And then they will put their Aflac stuff in there and their Humana stuff in there, and they will put all of this stuff in there. And it would be funny because they didn't really realize that I was just really, wanting to advertise Legal Shield. So when they go back to the office, they go to their desk and they drop that Legal Shield bag there, and everybody walking around like, where you get that bag from? And it's like, oh, we got it from there. And then they go looking for that bag and they got to come to my tables. So that really does work. And I really used to do that. And I also have a rule to not sit down at vending events, right? Shake hands, talk to people, and get to know the audience. And I just made as many jokes as I could to make sure people took my folders and my information, because that stuff really did work at those different vending fairs. So, all right. So do we have any more questions? And Sharanda, you got anything to add to that?
No, good stuff. Mm-mm.
All right, no more questions, no more hands raised?
Not yet.
Okay, no questions in the chat? Okay.
No.
Check YouTube. All right, nothing on YouTube. All right, so what you want to talk about? They're giving us free reign. What you want to talk about?
Mr. Dunbar?
Yeah,
I put this question in there. I don't know if you saw it, but there's a list that's of drivers and it starts with an M. What is that list called? It's like the list.
A list of drivers and it starts with the M.
Like the companies have a list of their drivers. And I'm trying to think.
Census report is what I told you, Susan. It's in the census report.
Okay.
Oh,
I didn't see your answer. Thank you.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've also learned from Sharanda on that companies not using that word as much anymore. Sharanda, is that the case? Are they just kind of what are they saying most often for that list?
No, I mean you can ask for it. It used to be, I mean, when I was out in the field, it was census report. But I mean, I know that they all have a list of their drivers, however they keep it, because they have to keep a copy. They have to have a driver file. So they have to, at any given time, DOT can say, send me a list of your drivers, or, they can tap into their driver files. So when a company tells you, when a company act as if that's so bad, like that's a task they got to do, they lying. Because they got to keep it. Like, it's part of compliance, right? They have to keep, and normally, it's on some type of Excel because they have to keep up with the hire date, the termination date, and things like that. So they normally keep it like sort of like on an Excel sheet, but they have they have their driver's information. And if they don't, they're out of compliance. But it's not a hard task. So if somebody say, "Oh, I gotta get it all together for you," they lying. They lying. They DQ files. They gotta keep them DQ files. So you just tell them, say, "Hey, I know you keep your DQ files, your driver qualification files. Can we just have a list of those drivers? I know you have a list of them." Yeah. Census report is what we used to run to, when we were out in the field. But you still can say it. It's still said.
They'll use that terminology. Good.
I still use that terminology. I mean, but I sometimes I say, your DQ files, how you keep up with your DQ files, your driver qualification files. Because they have to keep up with those drivers,
So I was talking to somebody a few days ago on CDL, and we were talking about, the person mentioned to me that they were just selling a small business plan to a CDL company. And their approach in that conversation, it was more of an excited approach, meaning it was, hey, if you get the business plan, we could make sure boom, 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 boom. And I'm not going to throw out there everything they said, but it was not what the business plan does for a CDL trucking company.
Right.
So I want, talk about that a little bit, because you sell a lot of plans to CDL companies. So for people to understand that. So if you're over here and you selling the small business plan to CDL companies, understand that when it comes to issues that they're having in the CDL space that have to do with transportation law, a lot of times the law firm is not going to know the correct answer on that. So Sharanda, when you're pitching that, how do you prepare them for that so that that person doesn't go sell the small business plan and lose it? Because them chargebacks can sometimes be hefty. So
right.
how do you sell that so that the company is not expecting the wrong?
Well, that's why I ask a lot of questions. I was explaining that to an associate today, right? She's been in the business a while. She's opened groups. She's done small biz, she never thought about it in transportation, as she said. And I think a lot of associates, because Legal Shield has the CDL division, they think it's different than, regular employee benefits and group. They think it's this whole different thing that they offer, but it's just like schools. It's just like manufacturers. It's just like these niche markets. So just like, I know Guillermo's on here. So Guillermo has a background in mechanic shops because he was a mechanic. He owned a mechanic shop, years ago. And so he knows, just like when people tell you, focus on your background because you know your background. Well, Guillermo knew mechanic shops. So he can walk into a mechanic shop and sell that mechanic a small business plans because he knows their pain points. He knows what they deal with on a day-to-day. So with trucking companies, believe it or not, mechanics are one of their number one issues. Debt collection to the point where they may have a third-party billing, but they may not have always had that. But then you find some carriers that have debt collection with third-party company. So they're dealing with some type of debt collection, not necessarily from their loads. It's from just doing business with other people, other vendors. So debt collection does play a part in their everyday business. Money is very important for trucking companies because they're paying out a lot. You know, with fuel prices this high right now, that's their number one pain point. But they deal with a lot of they deal with debt collections where other people don't pay them. They deal with services not being rendered, so they kind of get taken advantage of. And so, and then the number one thing definitely is the lawsuit coverage. And that comes with the education of a lot of them think that their insurance handles things like that. Oh, I got $1 million policy, insurance policy. So if I get sued, I got that. That's not what that's for, sir. And you have to not really know, but you have to kind of know that. But, you know, they can get sued for anything, though. It doesn't have to be. And that's another thing, Dunbar. Early on, when I started cross-selling, you know, my number one thing was accidents. That's what they needed that for. But what I learned over time was that these companies get sued by just other people, just vendors and other people sue them. They find themselves in lawsuits all the time, and it doesn't have to be an accident. So just know that. That makes sense, Dunbar?
Yep, it sure does. It sure does. And hopefully everybody on, like you got that, because I know some of you all, you're looking to sell the small business plan to trucking companies. I don't want to do that. Go ahead.
But be careful, guys, because this is what I told that associate today. Most associates leave because when we go to certification class, they teach us about our CDLP plan, and it helps with CDLP. It helps with violations. That's what our CDL plan does. It helps with the violations. So we all have access to Lamar's script, and it talks about helping with the violations. So if you lead with that script, you're talking about violations. So you have to be careful when you're trying to cross-sell and bring that small business plan into play, because now you got the business owner confused because you led with Lamar's script. Now you're talking about small business plans. And believe it or not, if you didn't know, most of those owners are only concerned about their business. And when you say business plan, that's what they're focused on. That CDLP plan, you talking about drivers. You know, remember, everybody don't like their drivers, and they focused on their business. Even though the violation, everybody don't like their drivers.
That's right.
Everybody don't like their drivers, but you have to remember what that script says. You know, want to help your drivers. Go in there saying that you want to, and you got the wrong owner. But then you start talking about the business plan. Now you have this owner confused, and you happy because he's like, I want that business plan. But you was talking about those violations. So we have to be careful, because Lamar's script is talking about those violations in that CDL plan. And that's what most associates lead with. Then you go in there and you try to talk about the small business plan, and all that owner hears is business. Oh, we're talking my language now because you're talking about my company, and that's what I want. But you told him initially, we help fight your DOT violations. So just if you just can't separate the two, Focus on one. And if you lean with Lamar's script, that one is that CDLP plan. Because that's what our certification teaches us about, is how we help with violations. And our CDLP plan is the product that does that. So if that's what you've learned and that's what you're skilled on, master that before you try to cross-sell with that small business plan, because that will definitely come back to bite you when they call their state attorney talking about, my driver came in there with this violation, this ticket, need y'all to help me. And the law firm say, well, sir, that'll be at a 25% discount, or we don't do that. Now he mad.
So anybody that felt like that information was helpful because you've been there, you was thinking about going there, you didn't know that they didn't help with that, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. Everybody don't like their drivers. I can relate to that. I don't like anybody on my team.
Well, see, AJ said he sells the group first. I don't sell the group first. My deal is selling the owner. You know what I'm saying? That's why I lead with small biz, because if I can show the owner the value, all that is his company. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my skill. That's not everybody's skill. And that's not what our certification is teaching. So just remember that. Our certification class is teaching that CDLP plan and how we help with violations and reduce those CSA points. So
Yeah.
just remember that.
So what do you do? What do you do when you have this scenario where the guys, is this good information? I see some ones. Okay, I see some ones. I see a couple ones. Okay, I see a couple people say they messed up with that. Okay. We need to see more ones than that with 60 people on here. But I mean, I hear you. I feel you. So here we go. What do you do with the scenario where they catch the CDL servicing agent, right? All of us here, and it's the driver. He gets pulled over. He gets a citation. He tells the cop it's not his vehicle. He convinces the cop to write the ticket in the company's name, and then the ticket comes, like the ticket is in the company's name, and the driver acting like he don't know why it's in the company's name. The company want to know whether the law firm will fight the ticket, even though. What do we do?
Well, that doesn't happen because the driver said that it wasn't his vehicle. That doesn't happen for that reason. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, they don't say, sir, do you own this vehicle? They're going to ask him for the registration anyway. I mean,
Right.
That is not how that works. And honestly, I can't really tell you which ones goes in the company names and which one goes in the driver's name.
Mhm.
But they do happen that way.
Mhm.
They really do. Some of them go in the company name. Some of them are even mailed to the company. Company gets them in the mail. But honestly, I can't even answer that. But they do come in the companies. I just never really looked into why or which ones. But some of them do go in the company's name. But you have to remember, though, even though it went in that company's name, it was a driver sitting in that seat. And if that driver was sitting in that seat and your driver got that plan, send that thing on in. You know what I'm saying? If it's a ticket, it all starts with that driver, whether it went in that company name or not. So, but that's not how that works, because he got out and said, "Name my truck."
That's what they
Not how
say.
that
That what the driver say. I mean, that's
No,
what
that's not how that
that's what the
works.
company owner say. I'm sorry, not the driver. The driver act like he don't know what's going on. The driver always be like, man, they wrote the ticket. I told them that it's supposed to go to me because I'm the driver. That's what the driver always say. But then the company be like,
I don't work like that.
you know what I mean? The company is like, man, we got this ticket or whatever. So what I've seen is what you just said. The law firm, I don't think I've ever had it not work this way. The law firm will fight that ticket, even though it's in the company's name, if the driver of the vehicle at the time has our plan.
Right.
And that's a really good reason to make sure you get as many drivers enrolled. And that's something you can say to that safety manager. So if I'm talking to Sharanda and Sharanda's like, we having this conversation about whether or not I can enroll or Am I going to get a census report or a list of the driver? Can I come to the safety meeting? Blah, 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 blah. Something that I would sometimes say is, well, just understand if any tickets are written in the company name, as many drivers have the membership is better for the company, because if the driver driving has the membership, then we'll fight it even if it's in the company's name. And that sometimes sits well with the company, knowing that if the ticket is written in their name, then we'll still fight if the driver has the membership. So that does seem to work well. I haven't had it backfire when I've had to go to the law firm and the driver had the membership. They will normally fight it.
So Daniel True asks, when a company gets a transportation citation and they have a small business plan, will the law firm have access to a specialized transportation attorney like a CDL driver would have? Well, Daniel True, our small business plan is to our state attorneys. So it's up to our state attorney law offices to handle that. Whether or not they have that, that's not our deal. We don't regulate that. Now, I guess the question you're asking is, do most of our state attorneys, law firms, have a transportation attorney, within that thing? Again, we don't have that answer, again, because we don't know that type of information. But our small business plan is, of course, our state attorneys handle that small business plan. Now, I've written a lot of small business plans, and my small business owners have used the plan. Sometimes it's a challenge, but that's why we have what we have in place. Whereas we have where they can contact, Legal Shield if they feel like that they didn't get the proper service that they needed, and they have up to 3 times to change that. Now, Legal Shield will handle that. That's not ideal to go in and try to make that case for our law firms. So our small business plan is covered under our state attorneys, and that's who they have to talk to. And so knowing that we have our plans, we leave that to our legal department to make sure that our small business clients are taken care of. I hope that answers your question.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Allison, you have your hand up. Did you take it down? You good now? No question, Allison? Okay. All right. Arjun, you was mentioning some. Oh, there you go. That's you right there with your hand up. All right. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Arjun.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hey, Mr. Dunbar, I wanted to go back to the company ticket. So I do have a driver right now that has the membership for 2 years. He got a red light ticket, a camera red light ticket that the city sent it to the company under the company's name. So when he sent the ticket to the law firm to get that ticket fought, the law firm told him that they need to have the release. Now, the red light ticket usually has a release in the back. So it'll say, company's releasing the driver. The driver puts his information, and then he sends it into the law firm, because that's the process that I learned. That's how they fight those company tickets. If it's a red light, if it's a camera tickets. But as far as the company getting tickets on behalf of the driver, mostly it's either a parking ticket that they park somewhere and the driver's not in the cab. They leave the ticket on the window. That goes to the company. Those are the only ones that I've known that, the company usually just pays them and then be done with them. But as far as this one here that I learned is that the law firm does need a release to be under their name so they can go fight the ticket, because the attorney is going to be representing the driver, not the company in court. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And on the red light tickets in Sharanda or Arjun, because I haven't had to deal with that. Will they actually fight a red light ticket at no cost?
Well, he said, whatchamacallit said, what's his name? Mr. Rahal said that's one of those violations, not obeying traffic signals. When you see that on the safer report, failure to obey traffic signal, sometimes it's where they ran a red light or something like that, or they didn't stop at a way station. He just said that's Saturday. He talked about that Saturday, red lights and way stations. That's what some of those violations are when you see that failure to obey traffic signals, traffic, whatever it says, obey traffic, something, yeah, signs or something. But he said it could be they ran a red light, they failed to stop at the way station, things like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I know that the CDLP plan doesn't cover the parking tickets. That's at a 25% discount.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think they will fight them under that. Don't they fight them under that bigger plan? I don't normally sell that plan, but don't they fight them under the super CDLP? Can't you fight the seatbelt tickets under the super CDLP?
I don't know. I don't know. I never sold it.
I don't sell it much, but I think I remember Alan telling me at one time that if they have the super, that they will fight the. I'll take a look at it. But I believe he said with the super, they do cover the seatbelt. But I feel like I remember having a conversation with Alan about that.
They cover what?
The seatbelt tickets if you got the super.
Oh, I know it has some coverage like that where some people were saying, that was their justification of selling it because it broke down some things that it covered that the basic didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to sell that for the seatbelt ticket. I don't know about it. Allison, you got your hand up?
Let me answer this, Allison. Somebody asked, which plan do I lead off with? It just depends on the company. So if I lead with small biz, of course, I ask a lot of questions related to the business. And so my questions are a little different than they used to be. So it just depends on what they need. Our plans, since they've been updated, they do handbooks and things like that. So, some of the questions I asked, I do sell more of the one, the 183. I sell more of those, depending, but it's based off the questions I asked. But either way, it's gonna either be the plus or the pro with the trial defense, always, never the 49. Sylvester, I hope that helps.
That's good stuff. I will not push that 49 on this. I mean, no offense. I don't want anybody to think that's something wrong with the plan, but CDL guys need that. They need that. Well, I think everybody needs any business owner needs the 25%. I mean, the trial defense. And you can't attach it to the $49 plan. So I'm not a fan of marketing that plan. But I guess to each his own, but that's definitely what we train on here. Allison?
Okay, I know you guys had taught on this once before. I remember hearing it, but I'm kind of confused. A warning versus a ticket. The truck driver gets. Can the law firm fight both?
Can't fight a warning.
It'll still go on their record though?
Oh, it's there. It's there. A lot of them just go there and no fines too. So a lot of them get inspections and they don't have fines or anything like that. So you can't fight those. Warnings, yeah, they're gonna be there.
How long will the warnings stay on there? The same length of time of like the tickets?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a violation just like the rest of them.
And it's not a whole bunch we can do about that.
Huh?
I said it's not a whole bunch we can do about that. I mean, that's just kind of the industry. We kind of that's nothing we can really do about it.
Your drivers are just confused because they're thinking about, and it's just my take on it. They're just thinking about when they got their license at 16, warnings for us, it is like, oh, have a nice day. And it doesn't show up anywhere. So they can go speed when they're young and, that warning just doesn't show up. But as a CDL holder, it goes directly. It goes to the company and it goes on there. I'm sure it goes on their report too. So that, but their mindset is thinking about when they were non-CDL endorsed.
Yeah.
That's really what they're thinking about.
Yeah, warning is definitely different for CDL guys. So good stuff, good stuff. So I think we got some good answers, some good questions, some good information. So hopefully everybody benefited from this. We're gonna go ahead and get ourselves closed out. It's 9:38. Remember Thursday, Sharanda Ivy has an accountability call in the CDLP space. So we want to make sure that you guys are plugged into that. If you don't know how to find that, go to the CDLP Facebook group and scroll down and you will see a colorful welcome sign. And that is the post to get involved in the CDLP accountability call. Just know that it's an accountability call, it's not a training call. So it's a little bit more to it than just being on here listening and taking notes. So be prepared for that. And remember, the next CDLP certification training is June 17th, which is a Friday. So let your team know that we are doing a Friday training, and we'll post that and let everybody know that it is a Friday deal there. So I see a couple of hands up. I see Eileen and I see Arjun. We'll get Eileen and then Arjun.
Who's going first?
Eileen, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Did some checking, Robert, and in the JFA store, they no longer have those little bags. So do I need to just go to a local vendor and get some printed with the Legal Shield logo on one side, the ID Shield on the other, and put the materials in them and hand them out as I do this, and be sure that the flat sheet and my business card are in the bag?
One, I would contact Legal Shield and find out what's going on with the bags, because I don't know how that works. I will find out from them whether they make it more, whether there's more to come, whether they just out of stock right now. I will find that out first. I'm not sure who you're working with as far as like a field trainer or whoever you're going to be doing this with, but I would ask them what to put in the bag, because let me tell you what will happen. It's just like working with your upline if we wasn't talking about CDLP. When you start getting advice from other people and then you're going to do an event with somebody, be like, yeah, I was on a CDLP call, they said to have this. They're going to be like, well, why are you talking? And we don't want to get caught up in that crossfire. Whoever you work in that event with, so that y'all are on the same page with what y'all going to have and how y'all going to talk about things, I would talk to that person and say, hey, what you putting in your bag, right? It's a CDLP event, in my opinion. I think that you should have CDLP things in there because it's a CDLP vending event. But I try to stay out of the way of when you're working with a field trainer of me saying you should have this, and that field trainer saying like, well, if you're working with me, you got to take the coaching from me. And I just don't want you to get caught up in that crossfire. So I would definitely say if the CDLP or the field trainer is telling you not to put CDLP stuff in the bag, and I'm going to say this publicly, and whoever don't like it too bad, I suggest you use another field trainer if you're doing a CDL event.
But Alan said that on Saturday. He did. Alan addressed that on Saturday.
Said what?
But you need to talk. You need to make sure you talk to your field trainers and make sure they focused on CDL and things like that, and see how many groups group sales and all that stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, like it's a CDL event. Like you just told us it's a CDL event. So you need to make sure you ask that person, are they comfortable talking to these CDL people about CDL? Because if they're leading with legal at a CDL event, that might not go well, Ms. Taylor. So just make sure you taking somebody that can really help you in this space with that. What is it? Organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Arjun.
All right. Well, thank you. That's why I came to this, because I knew between you and I, Robert, have talked a while back. Mm-hmm. And that's how you knew I'm Eileen and not the way Sharanda said.
Yeah, Shredder.
The thing is, at the end of the day, I knew you and Sharanda. I kind of watch who's crossing the stage, whose name is coming up as leaders. And if I'm going to get some information, the way my daddy put it, you don't deal with sergeants when you need to deal with generals. So I'm dealing with generals and getting the best information I can. Because no, I'm not an associate that wants to bring shame to the CDL space or any other space with Legal Shield. So yes, I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure when I step out there, not only do I have a good name to uphold, but I have Legal Shield's name to uphold. So
yes, always about the brand. Always about the brand. That's just it's always about the brand.
Always about
I see you, Sharanda, kind of shrinking like, oh my goodness, you
I ain't shrinking.
10-foot pedestal. But hey, the truth is the truth. You got the blood, sweat, and tears award sitting right there on your desk or your presenter or whatever. You've shown that you have done what needed to be done. So yes, I'm going to look to you and Robert and ask for the best advice I can. Because you're right, Robert. No, I don't want to get the crossfire. And Sharanda, no, I don't want to do something that's out of the way and have people with a bad taste in their mouth. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we just want, just always remember the brand. And Dunbar always he's saying going to the event, he just wants you to make sure you get the best out of it. So just make sure you be mindful of your partnership. So we appreciate that. Arjun?
Oh, last thing.
Somebody go, Arjun.
All right, thank you. You know what? I'll be really quick. Number one, we're kind of focused on the CDL plan, to selling the plan approaches. But I have learned something from the trainings that we need to be involved in the industry and find out what's going on in the industry today, what's going to happen tomorrow in the next few months. So that way we can position ourselves with this program, whether it's a small business or the CDL plan. We have to know what the market is doing to benefit and position ourselves to get the maximum signups or small business plan sales. Right. So if I ask everybody on this call and just put one, if it subscribes to a magazine, the trucking industry magazine or the news magazine, if you guys are connected in that industry, because if you're connected, you know what's going on in the marketplace. So I'll give you an example. Trucks are 6 months wait to a year today. If somebody's buying a truck, it's going to be 6 months to a year before they get it. Now there's people who are waiting on a waiting list where they have ordered 5 to 10 trucks. Now, here's what's happening, and this is where the small business plan is coming in hand, is when they sign that contract that, hey, we're going to pay this price for this truck, and we're going to finance or pay it in full for this price. Guess what's happening? When the trucks arrive in 6 months, that price is different because there is the demand. So what most of the dealerships are doing is they're making them wait and say, hey, your truck is not arrived yet, but on the back end, they're selling that same truck to another guy who's going to willing to pay more money. Now, these owners are coming to find out that's what's happening, and the small business plan is coming in hand because now they're going after this dealership saying, hey, you promised me this date for delivery. I see the trucks. And that's when our law firm comes in and writes that letter to the dealership and they're stumping them right there. Or they're going to say, okay, the pricing that we agreed upon is no longer good, or it's going to go, it's going to get higher. That's where our legal shield comes in, our law firm comes in and says, okay, we're going to send a letter or make a phone call. And that's what's happening, folks. You guys need to kind of position your business where you come in and say, hey, we're going to save you money and we're going to, make sure you're protected. So I just want to say, get connected with the industry, read the news, what's happening in the industry, so you'll be better educated when you go talk to these owners.
Absolutely.
Got it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Always have industry knowledge when you're out there selling in the industry. Any closing comments, Ms. Sharon?
Nope, not a thing. But that's good stuff. Yeah, and like you say, AJ, I mean, again, we just don't want you guys to think that you got to be the, you know what I'm saying, like the know everything. You definitely want to keep the main thing the main thing. But you gotta have some type of conversation outside DOT tickets and violations. You gotta have something to have that conversation. Like AJ saying, you gotta know. You gotta know a little bit more than the flat sheet. You know what I'm saying? You got to. You gotta start somewhere, because you gotta know that these people are dealing with a lot of things. And like I always say, they didn't wake up thinking that you were going to call them or walk in talking about DOT violations and CSA scores. They may think something else is worse than that right now to them. Okay? So just have some conversations and see what their problem is and see how you can solve that. That's it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys. So we're gonna give y'all night back. We apologize. It's 9:49, so hopefully you guys got something out of this. It's been fantastic for us as always talking to you all. So next week, Monday, we'll be back here again. CDLP Sales Motivation Zoom. And if you got any questions between now and then, go to the Facebook page and ask those questions then, or chime in on Sharanda accountability call if you're serious about CDLP. So you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Have a great week. Have a successful week, and we'll see you guys next week. See you later too, Zoomers. YouTubers.
Nice. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good training.
See
Love
some of you on Thursday.
Absolutely.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Awesome call as usual. Thank you.
Absolutely.
General.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
That's Sharanda. Sharanda, the shield general back there with them LOJ awards sitting back there.
She left.
Woo. Yeah. I'm asking you, you got the blood, sweat, and tears behind you. She started getting passionate about that conversation.
Ooh, that was scary. That was some serious stuff.
Maybe I stepped on her toes. She wasn't paying enough attention.
Woo-wee.
All right, y'all. Good night.
We appreciate
Night.
you. That's all. You just